Today we have Kyria with us. Kyria is born in Taiwan and she now lives in France. She's a specialist of personal branding and also a member of the International Coach Federation, the biggest organization of worldwide gold standard in coaching. After 15 years of international professional experiences in global companies such as L'Oreal, she became the founder of Reinventing Carrière Coaching. And the goal is to help international talents with professional coaching, personal branding, and image management. So with that, I hand over to Kyria.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. I'm very happy to be able to share with all of you about the topic of personal branding, especially at this crisis of COVID-19. Since Eileen has already presented my professional background, I'm not going to repeat it. I will just be covering during my session about the personal branding, its origin, its philosophy, and how we work on it in the personal branding coaching program, so that you might get some ideas to work on your personal branding at the post-crisis period. I would like just to share with you some words about my relationship with the personal branding as the starting point. So during the past 15 years before becoming a professional coach, I worked mainly on brand development, international marketing. And somehow I started to think, I wonder if an artificial brand can make such a huge impact. Can't a human being do even better? I mean, when we work in the headquarters of a luxury brand, a big brand, we spend so much time on crafting the concept, to review all the details of brand attributes. And then we make such the impact by the communication strategy. So we spend so much time to make it different. However, you and me, as human beings, we're born already unique and different with all these extraordinary talents and passions that are different from one to another. Can't we make a greater impact than an artificial brand? So as you know, when you have an amazing idea, you're probably not the first one who found it. So I learned that, in fact, an American who called William Arruda, he already started to promote this idea, this concept, since 1990s, like 10 years after my birth. So he came from also the marketing background, and he really embraced this idea, and he was actually the first one who systematically and in a very strategical and analytical way, he made personal branding into a program model, some strategies and some ways of working on it. He brought actually the branding idea into individual person. So while he was promoting this idea, he met Béatrice Cuvillier, who's the French woman. She was the marketing director at that time, still in Paris. And they shared really the same vision. And then after that, Béatrice became the pioneer of personal branding in French countries and regions in the world. And then after that, one day, a Taiwanese / former marketer met Béatrice in Paris. So that was me. And Béatrice became my mentor in personal branding world. And I can say that myself has been through this personal branding journey, and that was an amazing transforming experience. And I think everybody can do that. Today, many people think about personal branding like something that we post on social media all the time and try to make advertising of ourselves, or that's only about the slash things. Like if you want to do something outside your company and you try to advertise on yourself. But it's not only about that. If you have personal branding as every individual, you also have personal branding of an employee as an individual who work in the corporation. And that can actually match the branding of the corporate itself. This I will bring more information in the last part of my presentation. So basically, now I would like to invite everybody to think about what's your own definition of personal branding. And at the same time, I will share with you my screen. Yeah, okay. So personal branding. Right. What do you think about it is this picture?
The iceberg, there is a part you could see, but the big part you couldn't see.
Okay. You just jumped to the second part of my second part of my presentation. Yeah. I show you. Okay. So what I want to talk about, yes. So when we see this kind of photo, this picture, we might have two types of interpretation. The first is more like, oh, such a poor little yellow fish. He has to wear himself with a shark fin to protect himself so that he feel more secured and stand up more. The other type of interpretation could be, oh, what a brave little yellow fish. He might hold a very small body size, but he holds a shark spirit and he dared to live as who he is actually. Yeah. So what I want to say is that the first type of interpretation is marketing, personal marketing. That means that you want to be a certain role and you try so hard to convince everybody to buy your idea, to believe that that's actually you. And the second type is that you find who you are, you discover, you accept who you are, and you live the best of you without being afraid of how people look at you. Yeah. And then here you see Welena Ruda. So that's some verbal definition of personal branding. I share this because I find it really difficult to give a definition specifically to personal branding, but everybody can have his own version, and this is just some sharing. Like Welena Aruda, he said, personal branding is the permission to be yourself, your best self. But be careful when we talk about being yourself in the personal branding content. We're not saying that you have to do whatever you want without concerning other people. It's more about your target audience. Do you give yourself a permission to show the best of you in front of your target audience? And then Béatrice Cuvillier, the French woman, she said, c'est ce que j'ai de différent, de unique, et aussi la façon dont je la garde. It means that personal branding is just my difference and my uniqueness and my way of keeping it. And what is interesting is that since Béatrice Cuvillier is a French woman, you can imagine how this very masculine, analytical, strategically built personal branding program became when it came to Béatrice's hands. Actually, Béatrice, she really add a lot of French woman element into personal branding. It's more about, oh, there's no fashion, I am the fashion, and I'm intentionally elegant and different. So he added a lot of spirit of bring the best natural, unique ingredient of yourself in personal branding, and the connection to our emotion, our intuition, and she told me what is the most important thing is that the biggest differentiator that we hold versus other people is not only about what you have on your CV, what you have on your background, your location, your age. It's more about the dimensions, emotional dimensions, emotional attributes. That means what kind of emotion that you project to other people when they see you. It's more like perfume. Like we can, myself and another coach, we might have the same background, professional background, the same type of CV, but what make people impressed is not about my CV, but the feeling that I project into themselves. That's something that will stay in our heart, in our head, in our memory about somebody. And then last, I also share my my version of definition because I feel good to put myself next to these two persons. So my version is c'est de vivre avec différenciation et aliment de soi. That means that I'm not looking for being different. I become different when I'm being myself. So personal branding for me is to live with differentiation and self-alignment. So when it comes to personal branding program in coaching, like you can also try to coach yourself or you have somebody to help you. in the personal branding program, actually what we're doing is like diving deep down to an iceberg. We can only see a little part above the water surface. But what is interesting is that this little surface, like everybody in the little window now in the Zoom meeting that we can see, this little window of Zoom meeting is a huge part of under the water that reflects what we see today. Under the water, there are our experiences, our beliefs, convictions, our own value, our identities, social identities, family identities, cultural identities, and also our spirit. If you have a religion, you might understand what I said. So all these are a huge part that we cannot see visibly, but we can feel that under reflection above the water. So in personal branding coaching program, we accompany the clients to dive deep down to discover all this. And then while moving up, we try to form a strategy concept by consolidating the most interesting part, the part that for him makes most sense. And then while we move up the water again, we try to form a professional image again. So in summary, if I really want to tell people about personal branding, what would I say? I would say a personal brand is a unique promise of value. And actually almost every word in this sentence is important. It's branding with ing because it's constantly in movement towards the target audience, and it can evolve with time, with your life. Unique because it can be perceived unique. It's a promise because it communicates and contributes in a consistent way and builds a long-term relationship with the target audience. It doesn't just exist. There's a purpose. It brings the value. So that's why a personal brand is a unique promise of value. What is important is that if we talk about personal marketing, we think about receiving something. I want to gain something by putting myself in front of people. But when we think about personal branding, actually I'm thinking about contributing, influencing. Everything starts by giving. And that's the big difference between, the big brands. That's a key for the big brands who appeal fans instead of running price promotion all the time. Yeah. So when we talk about personal branding, we really need to think about what kind of contribution, according to my vision, my mission of my life, that I would like to bring into this world. And then what I mean about target audience is that, is there a group of people who can be really benefit, who can receive a lot of benefit from your contribution, who can be most touched by what you bring to the world, and that's your target audience. So by just giving all the time, this group of people, they can identify you very easily because you're just giving something they are designed for. So now I will come back to, okay, yes. So the last part is that why I think personal branding is very interesting and important more than ever during this crisis of COVID-19. If we really think about what's happening now, I think the two experts in the beginning of this meeting today has shared a lot of observation, scientific fact that we're encountering right now. And now I would like to invite everybody to think about yourself, how you feel during this period, like since January or since March, what we have been through. In fact, what I observed is that what we are bringing through is not only about the change of the work itself, but there is a new relationship for everyone to his family, his work, and also himself. So in fact, I think at the end of this crisis, the mindset because of this mental impact, the mindset of people will change, not only about the company leaders and the recruiters, but also the customers. I think unconsciously, a new era of like everything coming from the heart, authenticity is coming, because it's no longer about just cheaper or quicker. We would want to know you more, who you really are, because now we know a bit more who we are as well. Like when we work from home, I just take some points of discussion that we had in the breakout room. When we work from home, we have to adapt to a new relationship with our kids, with our family. And when we work from home, we have to reorganize our life. And then we suddenly realize our preference, actually. We start to respect what I really care about. And then I think after this brain shaking, after this thinking process, at the end of the crisis, people might have a new understanding about himself, and that will impact a lot of choices in their life, not only about commercial choices, but the choices of your time management, the choices of the priority of your life, the choice of your passion or your work. And why personal branding is important at this time, as you can understand, I just presented that actually personal branding comes from a very deep down understanding of self, and then to consolidate and reinforce the best of ourselves to make us stand out again. So what I mean is that as there are so many changes and we have to adapt ourselves to the changes, what kind of changes, what kind of adaptation that you choose to work on? We are getting to the end, I hope, the crisis. And at the post-crisis period, what kind of adaptation you choose to work on? We only have 24 hours a day and we have a limit of energy. And what becomes really important in your life now? And the same thing for the company. Now a lot of companies are forced to think about their human resource. And many other companies are forced to even lay off employees. But on the other hand, the top talents who are able to make the company survive this crisis will be more important. And actually, that's the process of everybody, not only individually, but also in terms of the company. We have to choose. So the personal branding, I would say, is more like building a house on a very solid foundation, which allows the house to survive from the hurricane. And it is not created artificially, as many people think today. It is discovered, reinforced, and consolidated continuously in a strategical way. Because the prototype of a personal brand is you, who are already unique at birth. Okay, so I hope that was clear, and welcome for the questions.
Yes, Kyria, we have a couple of questions in the chat from Vicky. What part of the iceberg is typically the hardest for people to define or understand?
In terms of the iceberg?
Yeah.
Actually, from my experience, when we accompany clients to dive down the iceberg, the difficulty is that sometimes we might have some unfamiliar feelings like hesitation, fear, or denying. Because, and I also, what is interesting is I also see the cultural differences. Like, I don't know if you will agree, but people can share as we are all here. Like I work with Asian customers, clients, especially Taiwanese, and French clients. And I found that maybe the French clients, they're so trained to think about philosophical questions that they have less fear. And Taiwanese clients, they have more hesitation when diving down, because they are not very used to think about like, what's the purpose of my life, and what are the uniqueness that I have, why I'm different from others, and what is my value. And for French clients, I found that when they dive down, and then they are less reactive to the metaphor. Like when we want to touch to the emotion, especially the men, for men it's very difficult for them to get to connected to the emotion. Like, okay, we just found your value of justice. How do you feel when I talk about justice? And then they stay on their ideas, like justice for me, that means like this or that. But it's hard for them to say, I feel assured, or I feel annoyed when I find injustice. Yeah, so that's one thing that I found. It's very personal, actually. I think every individual has these difficulties, but there might be some elements about culture that's in this difficulty. Another thing is that, I can share with you about value. When we talk about value, what are the values that's important for you? When we ask in the positive way, it might be difficult for people. Like if I ask you what are the important values in your life, and we might able to name one or two, but it's very difficult to describe it. But there is a tactic. If I ask you, when you turn on your television, what kind of news that you would be really, really angry at? What makes you really, really irritated? Like, I cannot stand for it. It's just not possible. The world should not be like this. I have such an emotion. I'm not happy about what I'm looking at on the news. And just at this moment, if you really think about it, it actually touched a value that is super important to you. A value that you stand for so importantly. But for example, love or friendship, honesty, freedom, equality. I don't know what else, but you know, when you feel really mad at something to the point that you want to cry, and that touches actually your value. Yeah. I don't know whether I answered well the question.
So if somebody want to be, like many people in the corporate world, and they want to start the create a good personal branding, what do you advise how they should initiate that kind of, because they always, I have seen most of the employee who basically they don't create their own personal branding. And as you have been saying that it is very important to build your own value, what you value or what is important, what could be your advice?
Okay, there are two parts. First is about the vision and the mission. What I found personally is that, every company stands for a certain vision and mission when it was created. It's very linked to the creator, the founder of the company, and it can evolve with time, yes. But overall, every company has its vision and mission. When I say vision, that means an ideal world that you expect coming, what you want this world to be. And every company has its vision as well. For example, for a high technology company, it might expect for a fast communication, like zero distance between people, this kind of thing. And the mission is that in front of this ideal world, what you expect for, what you're ready to devote yourself, which role that you choose to make this ideal world come. For example, for the high technology company, again, maybe the role, the mission can be, okay, I devote myself, our company, to be the one that provide every tool possible to make it happen. Or another also high-tech company with the same vision, it can choose another angle. It say, okay, my mission is to make everybody get used to use all these kind of things easily. So the second company can be actually an online education company, but not the hardware company. You see, so there is a vision and a mission. Ourselves as well, as a human being, an individual, I also have my vision. For example, like I wish all the child enjoy mother love. Like there's no orphans, there's no child left behind. And what's my mission? What kind of role that I choose to devote my life into it? So the first thing that we can check is this: the higher match of the vision and mission between your company and yourself, the happier you will be. because you feel so right that this company matches your vision, and it offers you actually the best stage to devote your role to make this happen. So there's a passion, there's a desire and energy at different level when you work like this. Second thing is about the value. What kind of value are honored by your company? We can find like some employee agreement with the with the founder of the company as well. It says that, okay, our company, for us, honesty, time management, or reactivity, all these are important. But what about your own value? And what I mean is that when this match better, your working style, your decision-making process will be more appreciated or recognized by your company. It's just a working style match, and that will affect your well-being or your recognition in the company from political point of view. Yeah. So from personal branding point of view, this is what I can share. When I discuss with my clients, I really make sure that he understands the vision, mission, and the values of his company, and so as to his own vision, mission, and the value. Yeah. So it's sure that we will not be identical as our company, because everybody has its own brand again, and the company has its own brand that may, but to which level we match each other and how we can work this together, or how I can turn my mindset to match this better, so that I will be happier and more recognized in my work.
In the interest of time, let's just take on one more question, which we have in the chat. And this question is, do you tend to see that personal branding will change over a lifetime, and should it change?
I don't really understand the question. Can you repeat again?
Oh, yeah. Do you think that personal branding will change over a lifetime?
Okay.
And should it change? Yeah.
It's not about should or not should. As we saw previously, the iceberg, there are certain parts that is unlikely to change through life. For example, your cultural background, the impact of your cultural background. The impact can be more or less, but you cannot change your parents, right? You cannot redo your elementary school. So all this background that has shaped you is there. And that's quite fundamental on your value system. However, as you move up their experience, there are some convictions that can be changed. For example, professionalism is a conviction, or work hard is a conviction. I have to do everything very fast. That's kind of conviction, and that can be changed because you just encounter a huge event in your life, or after get married. After get married, I think a lot of conviction has been changed, and or after you have kids, you might have a new value system in terms of sacrifice or fulfillment or satisfaction. These can be slightly shift from one to the other, but there are certain things that form your value system stays there. Yeah. So as in the question, if you ask me, should I change my personal brand? Actually, in the personal branding, we ask more about what you desire, what you want to do, but not what you should to do. If you feel like last year I'm more like color red, I like to wear red to emphasize my passion, my energy. I'm a very dynamic people. Okay, that's fine. And maybe this year, after certain events in your life, suddenly you want to emphasize your tenderness, your patience, and you shift from red to pink. Why not? And it's more like how you evolve with your own personal brand, and the impact is that your networking, people around you will change as well, because you start to appeal new fans. But that doesn't mean that I cut my relationship with my old friends. It's just that as I'm shifting from another universe of the brand, my fans change as well.
Okay, thank you, Kyria. We'll just wrap up the personal branding session, and I think this session is recorded, so all the attendees will be able to get a video link and also the presentation slides. And I think Kyria has also very kindly included her email, and just feel free to reach out to her if you have any questions. And I will hand it over back to Vicky.
Thank you, Yiling. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, this is the first time that we've ever done a session like this across regions and remotely. So please do give us feedback. We want to improve it. We want to be able to do more of these events because it would actually include potentially broader discussion and different perspectives now that we have the luxury of being remote. So Lorena, Yiling, and I want to say thank you. And a big shout out to Denise and CK for helping us get this set up, doing all of the logistics, making sure everyone is registered and in the right boxes. We could not have done it without alumni relations helping us. And then Kyria, thank you very much. Nick and Tim are no longer with us on this call, but a shout out to them because I think this is still recording. Hope everyone enjoyed it, and let us know what other topics are of interest. Let us know if there's anything else that we can do for the community. Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.